your favorite fearless hero? Who is your favorite fearless hero?
Lo siento? Have you heard of the legend? As you'll soon find out, I am very familiar with it. Whether you know of The Last Wish or not, I have to say that the hype is very much real. What would I have to gain from a magic wish? I know what you're thinking. I mean, he is already so dashingly handsome, cunningly clever, and the fun of the fiesta, and unbelievably humble to boot. What would I have to gain from a magic wish? Well, it turns out that I have some shame. You see, when I was just a niño pequeño, there's a lot of fictional characters for one to find their favorite. I'm sure you all have that character that you have a fondness for too. For me, that character was Puss in Boots. I mean, just look at the little guy. He's just really cute, but it's a funny character with added comedy and a more quick-witted banter than a brash, obnoxious personality like, say, Donkey. I mean, look at him sword fight all these dudes at once. Puss is cooler than cool. He's ice cold. Who wouldn't want to have his suave swagger? Apparently I would. I dressed up for Halloween once. Am I his biggest fan? No, because I know how weird some of you people on the internet can be. But was I a big fan? Absolutely. His first appearance in the cinematic masterpiece Shrek 2 is perfect and almost universally agreed to be a welcome addition to the franchise. He's a perfectly charming side character, and I'm sure I'll enjoy what they do with him next, right? Then comes Shrek the Third, and Puss in Boots is in it, I guess. Much like the entire film, it's kind of a completely forgettable outing. Puss and Donkey are more of a comedic tag-along to Shrek as they interact more now as Shrek now has to deal with Justin Timberlake. Puss and Donkey are a fun duo, and they do the cliche boring body swap trope, and it's not really that interesting. Maybe a way to nerf the swashbuckler and the very capable Donkey, as most of the movie is weird Gooden fights here and there. At least there's one more Shrek movie in which I can get Puss in Boots one last hurrah as a fun side character that helps on the adventure. No, he's just Fat Thor with recycled dialogue into tired and lazy fat jokes.
Feed me, if you dare.
That's fine, I guess. I'm never really annoyed by the wasted opportunities, but Puss in Boots does feel like an interesting enough character that a series or spin-off would be completely justified. Well, oh my gosh, would you look at that? I remember maybe not being so hyped by the time that this movie was coming out, but I at least wanted to see what a Puss in Boots solo adventure would look like. Me and mi familia were looking to see a kids movie over a holiday break, and it seemed like I was ready to see my hero once again. Let's go see Puss in Boots! Let's go see Puss in Boots.
Let's watch Alvin and the Chipmunks to Chipwreck.
Yeah, wait, what? When you're going to go see a kids movie, you'll probably let the youngest sibling decide. Yeah, being the middle child sucks. Do I hold a vendetta against mi hermana? No. Honestly, it was kind of the right decision. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a catastrophe, but at least it was ironically entertaining. Yeah, my initial impression of the first Puss in Boots movie was ultimately unimpressed. Not that it was completely irredeemable. Kitty Softballs was a fun addition, Humpty Dumpty was goofy at times, and the Jack and the Beanstalk heist makes a lot of sense for the character, but nothing really sticks out as being particularly good or inspired. Even now, it's a fun movie, but not super great. I'm not too familiar with the TV attempts. From what I've seen, it's fun, but nothing to call home about, and so with that, my dream of a fun Puss in Boots movie went up in smoke. You know, speaking of smoke, I think I left the oven on. What's the worst that could happen? That was until the trailer came out for The Last Wish. It looked pretty cool. It definitely seemed that Puss was able to escape the dusty drab setting of a Zorro-style western and exist in a vibrant storybook realm. Spider-Verse is a buzzword that every review of The Last Wish has to work in there somewhere, and I would say DreamWorks as a whole, not just this film, is following the genre trend of a more stylistic approach to their designs. And let me tell you, that rocks. There's a lot of details and touches that show that the animators really wanted to show off their talents. Sometimes, for me, I find that to be a real turnoff, with animators creating moments that you know are just for their real, that it really detracts from the viewing experience. I mean, the film opens up with a giant Eren Yeager Titan fight, and that's when it kind of sets in. This movie's just awesome. Less folks bring up the visual montage transition of character silhouettes to do a picture-in-picture visual, and wow, I'm just blown away that we haven't seen much of that before. I do think that sometimes I'm not in love with the art direction. The cuteness almost seems like a parody, and the crystal refractal mirror realm just kind of been played out at this point. Not that there's anything wrong with it per se, it's a neat visual and it incorporates a great scene. Just when the other elements of the plot just seem so imaginative and out of the box creative, it's the one that doesn't have the same amount of charm. But overall, The Last Wish is a colorful and vibrant movie that is a world worthy of exploring to the depths of its imagination. And if you think the visuals of this movie are captivating, you should have been there for my victory in the Great Termite War in this very building. At least I think I won. Ah! At the end of the day, you can give him an existential crisis and severe panic attacks, but it's still a film centered around a gag character. Is Puss in Boots the funniest movie ever? No, but considering how lame the humor could have been, it was pretty funny. The Shrek franchise is kind of the Frog King of pop culture comedy, so you expect there to be some cringe, trendy jargon, but no. Most of the references are to Jimmy Stewart, Wizard of Oz, Terminator 2, and fairy tales, which are timeless and proven to be significant and not to get dated. I mean, you kind of expect Puss to be a character that you could see flossing or making dated references or posting cringe. Puss does post cringe, but respectfully keeps it on their TikTok and not in the movie, like you should. I was most amused by a certain villain character played by John Mulaney, who is just shocking and is very reminiscent of Rumpelstiltskin from the Shrek Forever After. I'll get more into him a little bit, but this delightfully evil jerk was the villain that's been missing in animated movies for a while. Like the Shrek movies, most of the comedy comes from having strong personalities and character interactions, and that goes a long way in just having a fun energy.
Puss in Boots?
Goldie, bears.
Hola, Jack.
Kitty soft paws.
You said you were going on some spiritual retreat.
Namaste.
And you're supposed to be dead.
I got better?
Not to brag, but this reminds me of my fun, epic ski trip. Okay. Who wants to bet that I can make it all the way to the bottom of the mountain while keeping the blindfold on? Ha? I mean, to put it simply.
Then right there before my eyes I saw a light up in the skies. The wishing star lit up the night and then exploded really bright. It fell to earth and it came on down in a great big piece, then hit the ground. And then some fairy said to me, whoever gets there first, you see, just touch the star. That's all you do and then you get your wish come true.
It's a nice and simple plot. Everyone's got a wish. Now let's have a bit of a race to see who can reach the wishing star first. It organically brings people's motives and desires to the forefront and makes it a fun way to have action, comedy, stakes, and keep the plot moving. Unlike Wacko's Wish, the cast is kept to only 3 parties in pursuit. The name is a work in progress, Team Friendship, Goldie and the Bears Crime Family, and the not so little Jack Horner and his Baker's Dozen. It kind of misses in creating a sort of Mad Max chaos to the pursuit, where there's a lot of changing and interaction and the race, but it allows for more concentration on Puss in the aforementioned groups. I could see a version of this movie where maybe 1 or 2 more groups were added to the mix, whether you want to add Mama Luna, who is just looking for her lost cat, and or maybe the Serpent Sisters, who could have been a quick running gag to see her lugging around her Midas Touch sister around, or completely original new character would have gone a long way in creating a more frantic journey. At the very least, the map is a plot device that I absolutely love. It's just such an incredible idea to have this magical void that makes the wish as easy or arduous to obtain as the personal growth journey of the map's wielder. The map device maybe felt it should have been switched hands, maybe at least once more, but it's fine all things considered. But this story is a much more thoughtful tale than I think most of us were expecting from a Puss in Boots movie. Seeing that Disney and other animation studios have been slacking in the villains department, The Last Wish has 3 that all function in vastly different capacities, but are all excellent in their own right. While this movie has a very apparent villain, the main antagonist is the bounty hunter Lobo. And let's just say I have a worse feeling about this guy than that time I filmed the railroad safety PSA. Take it from me, niños. Yours truly may have grown up on the wrong side of the tracks, but that's no excuse for being reckless. Most important is to always be wary of your surroundings around train tracks. Make sure when you hear an oncoming train whistle that you steer clear of the tracks. See, just like that whistle. I guess when it comes to the supporting cast, we must start with the Lobo. Well, you're going to hear a lot of praise from the newest Tumblr Sexy Man. I love everything they do with him. He is actually a serious threat and intimidating presence, and the film lets you know every chance it gets. I mean, come on, the whistling theme? The fact that he is just stalking his prey, like this time Puss in Boots is co-starring with the other Mike Myers. And their first scene establishes quite a bit, and one thing it establishes is that this is an absolute squash. He actually draws blood. Puss's life flashes before his eyes. Even thinking about Shrek does not calm his nerves. This Lobo is too strong, he's too fast. This scene really establishes that it's going to be completely unrealistic to beat him. I mean, you'd have a better chance pleading to death itself. Spoilers ahead. Wait for me to just wait until I talk about another character, okay?
And I don't mean it metaphorically or rhetorically or poetically or theoretically or in any other fancy way. I'm deaf. Straight up.
Honestly, I heard about this going in, and I don't think it will ruin your experience or anything, but this character is literally the embodiment of death. If you weren't picking up on the context clues of him literally teleporting into the scene, he taps the dead on the poster. Puss literally laughs at him, saying that he laughs in the face of death. With Puss in his final life, the stakes are literally lives or death. Death has always been a great and universal myth character, so they do it justice by being as somber, inescapable, just and dour as you'd expect. With death being more of a looming omnipresence, the film elects to have a more active conflict with Big Jack Horner. They've hidden this guy in most of the marketing, and it's probably a genius move. His design is hideous, but he is one of the most fun characters ever. I'm not kidding. I love Jack Horner in this movie. I like that this character is kind of in the same vein as a Goob from Meet the Robinsons, and that they are a cartoonishly evil with just having a really silly motive. Jack is driven by being jealous that in a world of mystical and wonderful fairy tale creatures, he is just a silly nursery rhyme, and kind of a stupid one at that.
A nursery rhyme that no one knows, and those who know it don't like it. It's not a good nursery rhyme. Little Jack Horner sat in a corner eating a Christmas pie. He stuck in his thumb and pulled out a plum and said, "What a good boy am I." It makes no sense. I mean, it doesn't, like, is he being arrogant? I don't get the point of it. I don't get any part of it.
It's kind of like having Johnny Yes Papa as your villain, and it's just hysterical. They make him awesome because he literally becomes random bullshit Go, the character. Jack, being a magic collector, just brings a Mary Poppins bag of a ton of magical items, and that only he knows how to misuse them. One of which ends up being the ethical bug, played by a Jimmy Stewart impersonation, and it's a lot of fun. I could understand having your hands full with Pinocchio and trying to keep track of which puppet boy is yours. But imagine being the ethical guide to literally the worst person imaginable. I like Kitty Softpaws, and it's more of the same from the first movie. Perrito is fine, not my favorite. He's filling in that annoying sidekick role, and he doesn't move the needle for me in terms of being annoying or lovable. He's a character for the little kids, and he's probably good for his target demographic. Goldie and the Three Bears were fine. It's really standard, but not much to complain about either. The "this stuff is too big or too small" running gag was actually kind of funny, and they condense an actual character arc in very little time. Goldie gets the map and allows us to see their "somebody touched my spaghetti" home. Goldie wants a human family. You know where this will eventually end up. For a more neutral character to round up the spectrum of desires, it works. Olivia Colman gets to play a good mom this time, and now 2 for 2, would love to see her in more voice acting work. Far from the highlight, but I would say they're just right. And hey, I don't need to badger my adoring fans to subscribe and like the video. I trust you, amigos. You clicked on this video hoping to see something cool, and K always delivers. Don't believe me? Okay, watch this. Just fall. This film is only as good as the star of the show. I will say I like the new design. Sure, they considered more drastic fit changes, but it matches the iconic look with a more cute aesthetic. I mean, sometimes in the Shrek movies you get angles that were a little creepy looking. I think this was a really smart turn to focus more on an internal struggle with mortality and hubris, leaning more into the jackass side of the character than the heroic defender of the people. Puss is never really a bad guy, but as the film puts it, it is the love with himself and his legend. I think leaning into the flaws of Puss make him as likable as ever. To see him grow as a character and accept that he's no longer an invincible hotshot, but can still be a hero and live life to the fullest is just a great feel-good story that anyone can see themselves in. Fearless Hero perfectly captures the character, and I almost thought this could have been a full-blown musical, which, I mean, Puss in Boots crossed Live La Vida Loca, so I mean, it wouldn't have been terribly out of character, but I'm fine with just the one number. The legend has never been so dimensional, fun, and endearing until now. He's one tough kitty, and trust me, I know a tough kitty when I see one. It's gonna be tough this year to hand out that Oscar because Puss in Boots and Pinocchio are both very different films on embracing mortality. I think Pinocchio is the more elegant tale. What happens happens and then we're gone. But The Last Wish is vivid and has more creativity in its interactions. It is overall just a fun flick that matches the weight of Pinocchio. I appreciate Pinocchio more. I enjoyed Puss in Boots more. I will cry when Turning Red wins. We'll see how dated this segment gets. Essentially, this movie is all about appreciating what you have and not taking it for granted, whether that's life or family or whatever it is you cherish. That's why everyone kinda gets what they want in the end. Of course, in some moderation. Except for Jack Horner, whose greedy wish to hoard all the magic in the world is maybe biting off more plums than he can chew. Every character and plot points all kind of layers on top of one another, and it really strengthens it into a really cohesive and comprehensive narrative. It is a well-written story, maybe not super ambitious, but more than Puss in Boots has any right to. Right? Hey, if I let people's expectations define me, I never would have rocked out at that live music festival. Am I depressed, stressed? It's anyone's guess. I mean, I don't know what living in the future holds, but this film paints an optimistic one. The Spider-Verse style feels like an organic evolution and not a derivative trend. I'm sure there will be some pale imitators to come, but I'm excited to see what visual, unique animated films are going to look like. As Puss sails off to new adventures and old friends to a place far, far away, I actually get a little excited to see what a new Shrek will look like. Are they going to have more expressive and visual presentation? Is Kitty and Perrito going to merge the spin-off continuity a bit? What fun and new fairy tale characters can be the next great Shrek villain? I think the Shrek franchise is an interesting cornerstone and that Shrek completely completed his life's journey and earned his happily ever after. But the door is still open where if you want to do something fun with the characters, I think a more distinct new breath could return some of the shine left by the mixed bag that was the back end of the series. Puss and Boots makes me excited for the future of DreamWorks animation. Whether it's more Shrek, Boss Baby, or something completely new, I'm excited to see what they're going to do, and I hope to see more great films in this short life ahead. At least I hope I don't have to return to my past job as a weather reporter. Okay folks, make sure you bring tons of sunscreen because it's going to be nothing but sunshine the whole weekend. You know what? I don't care anymore. Squish me, splat me, smash me. I won't have forever. You can't review it all. But as long as I can, I will share the films that I find to be worth talking about. And hopefully share it in a way that proves that I'm a little bit of an artist myself. Not a good one, but something good enough to share with people I care about. And if this is it, I'm glad I got to talk about this one.
What's the matter? Lives flashing before your eyes?
No, I'm done running.
Well, would you look at that? Seems like I'm here for now. I always wished for a fun ride with one of my favorite characters. That made me proud to be a fan of my fearless hero. I'm a little biased, but there's honestly very little to complain about with this sweet little tale. It looks like I finally got my wish. No magic required. 10 out of 10. This one was just right.